Hi, the topic is how to be highly effective, and I'm going to focus on simple instruction. You know, our major problem is our inability to obey simple instructions. If we can't obey an instruction, it's difficult for us to use our potentials. So it's difficult for us to be great. See, we look at simple instruction in a manner that it doesn't want it, that is not important. But simple instruction is very, very important, because if you can't obey simple instruction, then you cannot, reap the potentials. You cannot reap the advantage that is in it. But first and foremost, let's get this thing correctly. See, the world we are, is like boxing. I do get inspiration from boxing, because boxing reveals what we're here to achieve. It reveals the practicality of what we need to achieve. You see, when you are born, you are already in the ring. Most of us are not aware that we're already in the ring. The day you are born, you are already in the ring. And because you're already in the ring, you got to fight your fight. There are no two ways about it. You got to do the fight. You got to fight it. Because until you're able to understand this, you will take the word as granted. You will take it as something that is not worth living, or something that, you are not called to do something. So look at a boxer. A boxer steps up into the ring and he's contending with the opponent. Then the question is, who's the opponent? You are contending with the world. You are fighting the world. So you have once in a life chance to bruise the world. You have once in a life chance to make a mark. So as long as you are born, you're already in the ring. Don't be naive. Don't deceive yourself. You are already in the ring. And what it's telling you is that, look, you need to make your mark, because you have once in a lifetime opportunity to make your mark. So you are bruised. You need to bruise the world. What I mean the world is that is the institutions. So the more you bruise the institutions, the better for you, because these institutions are what we are calling the world, the human institutions. The human institutions are the things that are making us not to use our potentials. The human institutions we're afraid of prevent us from being ourselves. So until we question the status quo, we question the human institutions, what we were taught by our parents, what we are taught in the school, what we are taught in the community, what we are taught in the universities and other places. If we don't question them, then we become a slave to them. That is why I'm saying, you need to, bruise them. You need to, deal with them. Because if you don't deal with these institutions, these human institutions that are chaining us, that are telling us what we should do and what we shouldn't do, that are programming us so that we become docile, so that we become silent, then we cannot, we can't become who we are. So it's about understanding this basic thing, that you're already in the ring as soon as you're born. Once you're born today, you're already in the ring. You are contending with the human institutions. These human institutions are in form of government. They are in form of policies. They are in form of education. They are in form of things, they tell us to do. They are in form of, classifying some people poor and classifying people rich, despite everything. The institutions are like prejudice, the hatred, that you should, oppose the other people. You oppose the other person because this person is a Muslim. Because of that, you should hate him. Because this person is a Christian. Because of that, you should hate him. These are institutions. Or because this person is a woman, therefore you shouldn't respect that woman. Or because this one is a baby, you shouldn't respect the baby. Or because this one is a is a black, you shouldn't respect him, or because this person is a white. These are human institutions. These human institutions, they come in principle. And until we are ready to box them, kick them out of your way, you can't make impact. They will tell you, look, you can't go anywhere. But it's written that God has made you God. He says, Almighty man of valor. Gideon, Almighty man, he's talking to you. Because once God is talking to one body, he's talking to everybody. So this is the instructions. These are the instructions you need to follow. So that's why I'm talking about instructions. So, but for you to understand this, you have to be serious. You have to understand the world we are in. You have to be conscious of it. Be aware of it, that you're already in the ring as soon as you are born. Once a child is born today, he is already in the ring, or she is already in the ring. So, and you have once in a lifetime opportunity to do a great thing, to influence and to change things. And that's why if you don't make your mark, you are a loser. If you don't make your mark, you'll be disappointed. So, and you think that you have time, you don't have time. So now, as a boxer, you need to, bring down your opponent. Your opponent is the human institutions. Your opponents are the human institutions. The things that are making us not to be who we are. The programs, the indoctrinations, the fears, all these things that are making us not to be who we want to be. So these human institutions are what is preventing us from becoming who we are supposed to be. So in that sense, you can't obey a simple instruction. You don't understand what simple instruction means. Now, a simple instruction comes in terms of using your talent. A simple instruction comes in terms of reading your books. A simple instruction comes in form of, doing the right thing. The simple instruction comes in form of taking decisions. So, but if you can't do these simple instructions, you cannot make use of your full potential. You cannot use the supernatural power you possess. Because the natural thing is to obey the simple instruction. So, and then first of all, you have to do the natural thing. And once you're able to do the natural thing, the supernatural thing will be done. So that's why I'm saying it's common sense. So it is common sense that is very, very important in what I'm saying today. You do not learn it in a school. You wouldn't learn it in any other place except, you discovering it yourself. So, but when you discover it yourself, then you become confident to do it. You become confident to say it out. You become confident to carry it out. But see, a simple instruction, look at, for instance, David in the Bible. He was instructed by his father to go and, give food to his brother, to go and, give food to his brothers in the battle. Now, that is a simple instruction. Now, if David were to be stubborn and somebody who is not aware of things, then David might reject that instruction. But to the surprise of David, that simple instruction towards the end of it is something that will lift him up. So something you're afraid to do, the instruction you don't carry out, the instruction you don't obey, the instruction you don't believe in, this is where your destiny lies. So now the father, first of all, told him, take food to your brothers. That is a simple instruction. Now, at the end of that instruction is his destiny. He didn't know that, look, his destiny, it will be fulfilled towards the end of that instruction. So if he had failed to obey that simple instruction, there was no way he would have, utilized his potentials. There was no way he would have become David, the great person today. So as soon as he obeyed that simple instruction, the supernatural power sets in. He was able to defeat Goliath. So, for instance, another way you can look at it is that, look at your talent. Until you start practicing your talent, Until you start believing in your talent, you cannot use the potentials you have. You can't become yourself. So if you're afraid to use your talent, if you're afraid to use, the gift God has given to you, that gift God has given to you comes in form of instruction. And towards the end of it, there's something there to lift you. But if you are stubborn and you don't want to obey that simple instruction, that means you will not use your talent. That means the supernatural power which you possess, you cannot see it throughout your life. So that is why we talk about it every day, because if you understand it, if you discover it, you find out that, look, you see, your greatest enemy is yourself. Your greatest enemy is not Satan, is not your brother, is not your wife. Your greatest enemy is yourself. Because you fail to obey the simple instruction. You fail to carry out the simple instruction. Look at now Christ. When Christ went to raise Lazarus, there was a simple instruction. Remove the stone. If they didn't remove the stone, then the supernatural power won't take off. Look at an aircraft, for instance. An aircraft, if it doesn't taxi along the tarmac, it doesn't call up this aerodynamic power that will overpower the gravitational pull. So the same thing applies to us. So we have to learn these simple things. These simple things are very, very important. They come in form of instructions, but we look at them, we take them for granted, not knowing at the end of it, there is progress, there is growth, there is innovation, there is productivity, there is progress. But if you close your mind and ignore the simple instructions, then you won't be able to, become yourself. You will be lacking. You won't be able to be who you are supposed to be. You will never meet yourself. And it's not that we die, it's that we are not able to meet ourselves. That is the tragedy. So death, it doesn't mean anything. What is important is, were you able to meet yourself? The person you are excited to meet all the time, the person you are looking forward to meet is yourself. And it is only yourself that can stop yourself from meeting yourself. So do not blame anybody. Do not blame people. Do not blame anybody. It's you. Because being able to meet yourself will help you to fight the institutions, the human institutions that have brought change, that has, the human institutions that have brought change, that have made us docile, that have made us timid, because you are thinking of what people will say, because you are thinking of what you are taught in the school, what you were taught in other places, or what your parents told you. These things are what we are talking about. These things are what is keeping us from achieving our potentials. These are the darkness we need to pull aside in order to see the future. You cannot see the future while you are holding on to these human institutions. By obeying them, by telling them, because they already classify you. Do you know that before you are born, the institutions have already made you poor? But you're not poor. Nobody's poor. But it's the human institution that we are obeying every day that are what is making us not to be, effective, not to be, not to become who we are supposed to be. So that is what I'm saying about instructions. We have, until we learn how to obey simple instructions, then it will not be possible for us to use our full potentials. Simple instruction comes like myself talking on the Facebook today. Because I want to use my talent, because I want to, meet who I am, I need to do this. That is the simple thing. The supernatural power that lies within me will not kick in if I'm able to obey the simple instruction that comes in terms of flying, driving your talent, flying with the least talent you believe you have. So that is the way to understand simple instructions. So we have to start obeying simple instructions, because the simple instructions are there to elevate us. They are there to bring us to bring our dreams, to make our dreams achievable. They are there to make us to realize our dreams. They are there to make us great. They are not there to forestall you. What is actually there to forestall you is the human institutions that have told you that, look, you are poor, even when you've not been tested. That told you you are this, you are that, you are that. But behind the scenes, these are not true. So, and because the way we are programmed, once we hear the negative thing that is said about us, we focus on that. Now let's look at a common sense thing. One moment. Let's look at the common sense thing. Now, one of the common sense things I've written here is, see, when you go to market, let's say you go to market, and then you see a bowl of apple, and in that bowl about 100 or 50 apples. Now, some are good, some are bad. Now, if you go there, won't you select the good ones and leave out the rotten ones? I've never seen somebody who goes to market and then buys a rotten apple and comes home. No, nobody does that. You have to select. You have to look at it and see, oh, is this one good? Or even a shirt you want to buy, you have to look at it, whether it's torn or whether it's well sewn. So the same thing applies to us. Let's bring this common thing to the practicality of our life. The act of going to market to buy something. Let's bring it to our life. Now, if you bring it to our life, it is now telling you, look, so that time we went to the market, you only bought the apples that were good. Is it not what you do? Correct, that is what we do. Now, so our mind is like a garden. Now, in the garden, we have the weeds and we have the weeds. The weeds and the weed. Now, the weeds are the bad ones. The weeds are the good ones. Now, so why do we go into our farm and we uproot the good ones? We only select the good ones, which is the weeds. Do you go to your farm to collect the weeds and bring to your home? No, you don't do that. So the same things are applied to our thinking, our imagination, and other things. So in our mind, we have series of imaginations. In our thought, we have different things, in our mind. But our capacity to pick the right ones is very, very crucial. So just like you don't go to the market to pick a rotten apple, so the same way you don't fixate on the negative things. Most of us, the problem is that a man who goes to the market to buy apple and selects the right one and takes them to home, will go in the field of his mind to pick a rotten one and fixate on it and start eating it. Let me ask you a question. A person who went to the market, bought a rotten apple and starts to eat the rotten apple, the person is termed as a mad person. So the same way, if you are fixating on the negative aspect of what you're thinking, the negative aspect of your thoughts, that shows you are mad. That shows you are crazy. But most of the time, what we do is that we fixate on the negative. We concentrate on the negative. There are a lot of good things that are happening in our world today. Why do we choose the wrong one? Why do we choose the rotten one? Why do we choose the negative? So this act of going to the market to buy apple is here to illustrate us, look, if we can go to the market and select a right apple, then the same way you have to go into your mind and select only a good thought, good thinking, and then fixate on them. That is the way to grow. And focus on them. So if you are focusing on the wrong decisions, let's say for the wrong thing, that if I focus, somebody told you you're not going to be a president, somebody told you you can't be great, somebody told you you can't build a house, somebody told you you can't do this. These things are wrong apples. You don't take them home. Do you? You don't take them home. So why do you have to take negative things and own it and start, internalizing it every day of your life? And then you expect it not to be, self-fulfilling. So that is a simple common sense thing. Common sense thing is that you do not fixate on the wrong apple. You fixate on the good one. So the same way you fixate on the good thinking, good information, compliments, good things people pass on to you. Not any negative thing somebody says about you, you shouldn't take it serious. Look at, they said all the negative things they said about Christ. Christ never repeated it to himself. Because we are the greatest enemy to ourselves. We are greatest in the sense that when we start internalizing these negative things, they are bound to affect us. It's like somebody going to the market to bring a wrong apple and come home to eat them. No, it's like somebody who went to the market, bought wrong apples, came home and started to eat them. So the same way you go into the fields of your knowledge and all that is, and pick a negative thing and start acting on it and thinking that is the right thing to do. Anybody who does that to me is simply a crazy person. He's a mad person. So we are not mad. So we are not mad. So I do not believe that we are mad. The only people who are mad are people who pick the negative things. Look at all the positive things that are happening in the world today. We don't pay attention to that. We only pay attention to the negative. And that is why whatever you put attention to, that's what multiplies. So there are beautiful things in the world today. There are good things in the world today. So just like you go to the market, there are good apples, there are bad apples. Don't go to the market and buy bad apples. It doesn't make sense. Look at an example now. If you have a dream, if you are dreaming, you have to wake up. Most of us, when we are dreaming, we stay in the bed and keep on dreaming. But you have to wake up. It's a simple thing. You got to wake up. Waking up means carrying out the decision to execute the dream. Waking up means, stepping away to say, I'm going to achieve that. Making the move. And do not allow human institutions to prevent you. The human institutions will be saying, why will I be doing this video? Why will I be doing that? But I'm here doing it because it elevates me. It puts me in a good position. It makes me great. It makes me to achieve my vision. It makes me to understand more, because we are learners. Leaders are always learning. It's about every day is learning. Every day is opportunity. So these are simple things we have to pay attention to. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is, you see, if you like somebody, or if you want to hear what somebody is saying, don't you come nearer to the person. This one has to do with the context now. If you want to, be like somebody, you have to come nearer to the person. The nearer you come, the better you can hear the person, the better you can understand the person. So now, God has made us God. If you want to know about God, you get closer to God. If you want to know about somebody, you come closer to the person. It doesn't mean you can be physical. You listen to the person's video. You listen to the person's teaching. You read the person's book. So by reading the person's books, his teaching, you are getting closer to the person. The same thing applies to our relationship with God. If you want to if you love God and you're interested in God, you have to come closer to God. So now, whatever that puts us in, that we can't separate ourselves from the context. So now, the thing I'm saying is that your context is very, very important. You see, your context, you can't separate yourself from the context. So now, that is a common sense. We know these things, but we cannot apply them. And why don't we apply them? Because we fail to take decisions. Decisions in our life are very, very important. The decisions, like I said, they come in form of simple instructions. And why don't we take the right decision? Look, we are powerful people. God has made us God, because There is no way God can create his son and make him less than himself. God cannot make his son less than himself. Because the law of demand, the law of love demands that God gives himself fully to the person, to the receiver. One moment. It's our mind that is playing on us. It's our mind that is telling us, look, that is not true. Because our mind has been, corrupted. It's been programmed. Because it's been programmed by the human institutions. Because of that, you cannot believe that God has given you himself. You cannot believe that you possess God. You are full God, walking in two legs. But you don't believe it. And because you don't believe it, the manifestation is corruption, killing, hatred, prejudice, treating people unfairly, taking what does not belong to you, and being bold and not being able to learn. So, but as soon as you understand what I'm saying today, it opens your mind towards learning. It opens you wake up. You wake up from your dream. You start understanding that, look, this world is like a person in the ring. That you got to challenge. You have to contend with the world. You have to, fight the world. You have to bruise it. You have to make your mind because you're already in the ring. The day you are born, you're already in the ring. So that's why I am spending much time to create this sense for you, so that you understand the power you possess. You are God. I am saying it. God has made you God. You can't be less than that. And that is why he gave you every other thing. But the negative thinking, the programming by the human institution have made you to think less. Have made you to think you don't have power. That they've made you to believe that you are nobody. Meanwhile, you're God. It's important for you to reflect on this. It's important for you to be introspective. Think a little bit. You will realize what I'm saying. God has made you God, has made you great. You can't be less than God. All depends, because your mind is telling you that, look, that God cannot give it to you, because our mind is crooked. Our mind is pervasive. We don't believe it. We introduce a kind of self-doubt. And this kind of self-doubt makes us not to take the right decision. Sometimes you ask yourself, why don't you make the right decision? It's because of this self-doubt. Why don't we make the right decision? Because of self-interest. Why don't we make the right decision? It's because we are prejudiced. So these things are weight. They are weight on us. Because of what we've internalized, making decision becomes a problem. You know it, but you don't have the courage to step out. You don't have the courage to move. You don't have the courage to say, look at what I want to do. Because you are afraid of what your friend will say. Because you're afraid of what your mother will say. Because you're afraid of what your father will say. Because you're afraid of what your friends will say. These things are heavy load on us. These things are what make us not to make the right decision. But until we start, ripping these things apart, we start tearing them. That by tearing them is this kind of fight I say you have to fight. It's the same thing, the fight I'm telling you, you have to realize that you're already in the ring. You need to give them a heavy blow, to blow them out of your way, to kick them out of your way. Because these human institutions, have stifled you. They've made you docile. They've, tied your hands and tied your feet. You can't do anything. So, because you don't understand these things, why? Because you've been taught like that from childhood. You've been taught not to think. You've been taught not to use your talent. Then who are perpetuating these things? The human institutions. You know what human institutions are? The churches, the schools, the communities, the wrong family, union. These things are the human institutions. They are making us not to become who we are. So because of we're attached to them, we can't move forward. We don't realize that the future is bright. We don't realize that, look, God has made us God. We don't realize that we possess the full potential. There is a firepower in our belly. Look at when Moses was, when Moses saw a bush burning, but the bush is not being touched. A heavy flame burning the bush is not being touched. What does that show? That thing is telling you that you possess a heavy firepower. There is flame, underbelly fire inside of you. This underbelly fire inside of you is not burning your flesh, but is hidden there. It's the same thing we see every day. You look at the sun. The sun is, a heavy energy burning, but it's not burning the earth. So that is who you are. You possess Holy Spirit. It's the same Holy Spirit God possesses. You possess it. It is under your belly. It is inside of you. But the human institution has made it impossible for you to understand it. The human institution, have reduced you to goat and sheep and dog. And that is why we see ourselves being slaughtered the way animals are being slaughtered, the way goats are being slaughtered. You take a gun and you start shooting people because you do not realize that these people you are shooting are gods. So look at the kind of carnage and waste we are committing in this world by ourselves. And why are we doing it? Because we do not understand that we are God. We do not understand that your fellow brother, your neighbor is God. We don't understand these things. Because the society do not want you to learn beyond what they've taught you. The society do not want you to go further and dig deep and ask questions, be introspective enough. You need to be an intellectual. You don't need to be educated to be an intellectual. Is somebody who has the capacity to learn, to question the knowledge you already have and change it. Once you see that the knowledge you have is stale, you change it and move forward. Regardless of the opposition, regardless of the tide. Of course, people are going to criticize you. You see, if you are moving from down, if you are moving with the current, it's very easy. But going across, going opposite of the current is difficult. You see, if you are going downstream, going upstream is difficult. So naturally, water flows this way. You going this way, you got to have bruises. You got to have challenges. Sometimes you could be locked up. So sometimes you'll be criticized. You'll be misunderstood a lot. They will criticize you, call you name, say this guy is talking every time on the Facebook. But you know what you're saying. But once you are locked up into what you're saying and keep on saying it, that is the time you see the benefit. That is the time you reap the potential. That is the time you are doing the real fighting. So it is very, very important we understand these things. You see, nobody can demean you. Nobody can reduce you except yourself. God has made you God. So it's left for you to believe it or not. It's your choice to believe it or not. If you don't believe it, you take yourself to be an animal. You take yourself to be a dog. You take yourself to be a tree. You take yourself to be an ant, and that's it. So it's your choice to open your mind. It's your choice to make yourself, to read books. It's your choice to develop your mind. Use your imagination. If we're not using our imagination, we can't make any progress. So everything is already here. The answer to everything we want is already here. But it's because we have self-doubt. It's because of the bad experience we have. It's because of the programming, the indoctrination, the society, the human institution have, placed on us. A heavy load. And that heavy load will not allow you to wake up, will not allow you to rise. The only way to do it is that for you to understand it and to be conscious of it and take the bull by the horn and say, look, I am not going to abide by the human instructions, stupid instructions that have been given every day in the schools and other places. Because these instructions are not right one. They are not the simple instructions I'm talking about. The simple instructions, you could see the reasons in it. You could see the logic in it. You could see judgment in them. But these ones that are teaching you, they are not, they are not the right ones. You got to teach yourself. You got to look at, no, you don't need anybody to teach you. Because you are already God. You have the firepower under your belly. You have the Holy Spirit inside of you. So you do not need any human being to teach you those things. Even if they teach you, you have a navigational knot that you have to check if it's correct with what the knowledge you already have. Then if it's not correct, you dump it, or you get rid of it and put it like a trash aside. So that's why I'm saying today that it is very, very important, we use our imagination. Because if we are not using it, we can't take decisions. Decision to become yourself. Decision to meet yourself. Decision to start living your life like a human being. Decision to start, driving your dream. Decision to starting your own business. Decision to start becoming yourself. Don't be afraid of the human institution. Because these human institutions we're afraid of are the principalities, are what have put humanity down. These human institutions comes in form of government policies. It comes in form of educational system. It comes in form of parental teaching. It comes in form of community. It comes in form of, the traditions. So until we separate ourselves from that, we cannot, we can't spring up. We can't become who we are. We can't meet who we're supposed to be. We can't, meet ourselves. So by driving your talent, by becoming who you are, you're able to meet yourself. Then if you're able to meet yourself, you begin to understand the power you possess. You begin to understand who you are. So you are no longer subject to the human institutions, the nonsense they're teaching you. Now you can now teach yourself. You can now correct and start moving up. From there, you can now, soar. But if you are allowing these things to take control of yourself, man, you are finished. Man, you are destroyed. You need to wake up. Waking up means you need to take decisions. But you cannot take a right decision if you have this prejudice. You cannot take a right decision if you are biased. If you are not, you can't take a right decision because of self-interest. Because self-interest will not allow you. Prejudice will not allow you to take the right decisions. Experiences will not allow you. Some of the misleading things, some of the problem we have in our experience, the more educated you are, that's what I mean, the more, education you acquire, the less effective you become. Because they've taught you that you have to do this, you have to do that. But you don't have to do that. You can see that it's counterproductive. So it is important we understand these things, because our experience in itself is a liability, is a disaster. Because you have experience in that you do not notice that things are changing. God said, my message is new every day. Every day is a new slate. Every day is a clean slate for you to build up, to start becoming yourself. God is so merciful that he created, out of 365 days, he made 300, out of 1 year, he made it 365 days. Splits it into 24 hours. Each 24 hours is different from another 24 hours. That means the offense or your thinking you had before, let's say the one you had yesterday, today is a new day. This is a new morning. This is a new day. New day means a new thinking. Leave the old thinking about, leave the tradition about, leave the human institutions, principalities and the indoctrinations and enslavement. Leave it behind. And get on with your future. Because today determines where you're going. So that's why God made it that every 24 hours is new, giving you a fresh leap, giving you a fresh start. And that fresh start means you have to forget and leave the past. You have to, get rid of what happened yesterday. You have to disassociate yourself with what happened to you yesterday and open your mind towards learning, because the only way we can be great is when we use our mind, when we use our imagination. If you're not using our imagination, we keep on repeating the past. We keep on repeating the past, and we cannot go into the future. You could see it in a seed. Until a seed is rotten, separates itself from the coat, it cannot spring up. This is simple, common thing, man. So we are not supposed to be taught, because the Holy Spirit is already, you possess a power that can electrify the world. One person has enough energy and enough electrostatic force to power the world. Each person. That tells you the level of voltage you already possess inside of you. The power you possess inside is enormous. It is the same power that can power the universe. Is what is inside your belly. But the devil and human institution told you that you are a common man, that you are not God. God has made you. You are just a human being. You are just an animal. That all human beings are animals. We are not animals. We are God, please. So the more we realize who we are, the more sensible we start acting. So if you are demeaning yourself, reducing yourself, patronizing yourself from what human institution handed over to you, my friend, you will go astray. You are lost. Don't be afraid of human institutions. Do not allow human institutions to dictate to you what you are. You are great. You are so powerful. God has made you like himself. But human institutions do not teach you this. They do not allow you to become yourself. They only teach you how to get experience, write CV, and then start working for people throughout your life. And you will never sit back and say, look, who am I? Where am I going? Where am I from? So until you ask yourself these questions, you can't, spark the fire that's already burning inside of you. You can't use them. Like I said, the energy, the electrostatic force inside of you is greater than the electrostatic force that's in the universe. That is the power you possess. That was why Moses was saying a burning bush. A bush in a flame. But it's not burning the bush. So you have a burning flame inside of you, but it's not burning. Because it's not burning, that's why you're not seeing it. That's why you cannot rise on your feet and say, look at where I stand. That's why you cannot be bold enough and to say this is what you want to do. Because you are listening to your friends. You are listening to your father. You are listening to your mother. You are listening to people around you. And because of that, they bring in fear. And throughout your life, you spend 70 years, 60 years, 80 years, buja. Until you become aware of this thing I'm saying, you will not understand the power you possess. The same power God has is the same power he has given to you. You need to come to him for him to explain it to you. He explained it to Moses. He explained it to Abraham. When Abraham saw stars, he knew what they meant. So we have to use our imagination. We shouldn't, be allowing human institutions to corrupt us, to lead us astray, to pitch, make us fight against our brothers, to make us to kill our brothers, to make us to defraud our brothers, to bring enmity within ourselves. We are not supposed to be doing that. Our actual enemy is ourselves. Because why is it ourselves that we've allowed human institution to, clothe us, bury us, and put us in a coffin? And then we remain docile. But we are giants. We are mighty men of valor. We are sons of God. Yet, we are passive. Yet, timidity won't let us. We can never express ourselves. We can never express ourselves. So today is the opportunity, is a new day, is a new dawn for you to step up to the plate, for you to take the bull by the horn and say, look, I have to take a decision to become who God has created me to be. Thank you.